We got a busy week. A lot going on this week in the world of poker, the world of dead money, and I don't know, just a whole bunch of unique, interesting things going on all at once. But all right, hello everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Dead Money with Dan Arfin. The $10,000 main event No Limit Hold'em tournament is about to start. Or I think it actually did begin already. But before it did start, on this past Tuesday, July 1st, was the completion of another main event, and that was the 10K pot limit Omaha. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because Mike Zulker, the first and to this point only guest I've had on the Dead Money podcast, ran all the way to heads up before finally being knocked out by Michael Wang. So Mike finished second. Bittersweet, no doubt, coming as close as you can to winning a bracelet without actually doing it, but a huge score for him nonetheless. So much congratulations, as his tournament gross winnings went up by about $930,000. It's not too shabby. The conclusion of the tournament was unusual. Most often tournaments end with an all-in with at least one card left to deal, but not this time. Mr. Wang had Mike covered and coolered. Mike limped the button with ace-king 10-5s, no suits. Wang had jack-jack queen-8 with two spades. He raised and Mike called. I don't know what the sizes were, just figured they were probably normal. And then the flop was 10-10 jack. So if you were paying attention and could remember all those fucking cards, 1, 2, 3, Wang flops top full house and Mike has trips to the ace. Wang c-bets and Mike calls. The turn is an ace. Wang bets and Mike calls. The river was a 6, so the backdoor flush draw on the turn missed. And Wang jams Mike's final 9 big blinds, and he calls with the third nuts, only to be shown the second nuts. And Mike said after that, it's a spot where he knows he can't fold, but at the same time isn't really expecting to be shown a bluff or a worse value hand, but what's he going to do? I mean, if there's any chance Wang is playing the fourth nuts, meaning Jack 10 in his hand, and thinks there's any hope that Mike could call with the fifth nuts, which I guess would be 10-6, then Mike, he just has to spin the wheel. If jamming fourth nuts for value there, heads up, is a mistake at those stack depths, then yeah, in theory, Mike should fold. But people make mistakes sometimes too. And even though Wang has won 2 bracelets already, and, has plenty of high-pressure experience, he's still human. He can still miscalculate something. And what if Mike had folded and been wrong? Then what? So I don't know much about PLO, but on the surface level, what is there to really second guess here? I mean, you reverse these hands and positions and you're going to get the same result. Mike would have doubled up, and then anything can happen after that. But however you cut it, it was a fantastic run. Mike entered the day, I believe, 5th in chips and couldn't win a hand for a while, but then things began to turn. And I couldn't believe how stunned and sickened I felt at the end. Not just because I wanted to see my friend win, but because of what's most important by far. I wanted to boast and take credit for that the one time I brought on a guest, he snap goes on to win a main event bracelet just a few weeks later. What could ever matter more than that? But it was not to be this time, so okay. Heads up didn't last more than 5 or 6 hands anyway. And Wang was already on his second full house at least. He checked the top nut boat to Mike in one other spot on the river. I think it was the hand before, I'm not sure. But Mike checked down. I don't know what he checked down with. All I know is it made sense because his opponent had the nuts. But, Wang was surely catching some cards by the end, so he wins his third bracelet. And I'm sure he's deserving of it. But this was the first time I ever railed someone at a final table, believe it or not. I mean, I know you all figure I have to know all these amazing poker players and be such good friends with all of them that how could I have never been to a final table before? But, most of the time, I'm just really busy with lots of women, and I just can't make it to their final table. But I wasn't going to miss Mike's, not after coming on the show, so I was there all day. And it was kind of funny because you can barely even tell what's happening. I mean, you're just like in a waiting room for hours, but you can see a little bit of what you're waiting for, kind of like looking at the surgery through the glass window. And you're kind of just goofing around, waiting for the moments when your guy suddenly puts a lot of chips in. And but yeah, other than waiting for that to happen, I mean, I just kept caving to peer pressure and taking more edibles. When I was a kid, I was such a rock standing up to peer pressure, but I cared about that less and less with age. It's just kind of like, okay, I've proven I can say no as a kid, but now that I'm adult, I see no reason to continue giving a shit. And I haven't. So moving on, as I think I started to say before, we got a lot of news stories this week. Now, first, I'll touch on the big, beautiful bill for a moment. I'm not a politics guy. I don't pay attention to politics. I don't know anything about politics. All I know is it's going to be fucked up no matter what. At this point, regarding the big, beautiful bill, we all know it still might be reformed in some capacity because this bill is obviously severe horseshit and it can hurt a lot of regular people. Most of the benefits are going to the mega billionaires. That's not quite shocking. Now, in case you're not fully sure what the big, beautiful bill is, you probably are. You've probably already heard it 1,000 times, but let's go for 1,001. It just means you cannot write off more than 90% of your losses. So the easiest example to explain it is this. If you play tournament poker for a year and you amass $100,000 in gross winnings and $100,000 in losses through all the tournament receipts you get to keep, you still would owe on taxes for a $10,000 gain in spite of the fact that your net gain loss was zero. It's such insanely savage bullshit just to say this out loud. I mean, this is going to have, a massive impact on sports bettors, slot hustlers, tournament players. I mean, probably other facets, I'm sure, of people who like to gamble, whether they're pros or recs. One area it probably won't affect, or if anything might help, are the cash game players like myself. And you have to figure that whoever came up with this bill must have been thinking about me when they were doing it. Because they know if it benefits me, then it's going to benefit, a lot of people. And that's not something you want to miss out on. But you might see now a hell of a lot more fish who play tournaments now decide to play more cash or just give up tournaments entirely. Because they're not going to give up the gambling, okay? Gamblers are always going to find a way to gamble. And I think that's what the government realizes, and that's probably why they're trying to get away with this bullshit. But listen, even if this does help my win rate in 2026, since that's as of now when this bill is set to take effect, I am still not happy about this at all, okay? I don't want to see anyone forced to absorb this fucking shit, because if for no better reason, it could have been me somehow getting fucked. So I've run good with the government, dumping the boat on poker players. I mean, even the name of this fucking bill, the big, beautiful bill, I feel like they're fucking taunting us. But in 2006, Bush passed some shit. I think it was the acronym was UIGEA. Forgot what it stands for. We don't do that much research here at Dead Money. I mean, if you want to get the full story, go somewhere else, okay? I'm just going to talk about what's ultra pertinent. But when they passed this garbage in 2006, it meant you couldn't use any payment processors anymore to fund your internet poker accounts. I was playing a lot on Full Tilt at that time and was using NetTeller to make my transactions. It was very reliable. And at the time, I think I had 11,000 tied up in there. And I got it about 6 months later, but, some people just had their money randomly disappear and clear out of their account for no reason, no trace, no recourse, no nothing. I didn't get saddled with any of that, thank God. And then on Black Friday, April 15th, 2011, I was already out on internet poker. But that might not have been the case. Now, PokerStars paid out with no problem, but Full Tilt Poker was a Ponzi scheme, so a lot of people got stuck waiting forever too. And I'm sure some people did get screwed. I mean, it was so long ago, I don't even remember. And God, I mean, if you had all your fucking money tied up on there, then now you're really screwed. And some guys did. In hindsight, that sounds, stupid, but look, until that happened, it didn't matter. Most of the time when I played online, I don't think I ever had more than not ever. I don't think I had more than 5,000 or 10,000 online at once, usually. I mean, that number is always going up and down. I think the most I ever had at one point was 27,000. And thankfully, when Black Friday hit, wasn't during that time, but it could have been. So just because I wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time for all of these, I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not going to care about those who are being affected, even if it's potentially going to affect me in a beneficial way. But, I mean, this is fucked up, and God, it just better not be what it currently appears it's going to be. I mean, you talk about, you talk about the world going to shit and just getting really fucked. I mean, what the fuck is this? I mean, what the fuck is this? Is this supposed to be some kind of sick joke? All right, so moving on. We're going to go a little out of order here with current events, but it's all pretty recent, so that's okay. I guess I'll talk a little bit about this little scam business that went on at the $1,500 Millionaire Maker tournament. This was event number 53 at the 2025 World Series of Poker. See, I did some research, but before we get into it, God, I mean, is it me or is there there's just another scam every freaking week now? I mean, this is turning into an epidemic. I mean, it really isn't that surprising. People are fucking scumbags. I'm one of the better souls out there. So that should give you an idea as to just how fucking miserable the human race really is. Now, this particular scam, if that's what you want to call it, isn't really so much the fault of the players running it as it is for the complete, utterly fucking morons for enabling the opportunity. And it's so frustrating that for as many words as the English language does have, that there still isn't one that can even possibly begin to personify just how idiotic this situation truly is. As I said, we, meaning we don't kill ourselves doing research over here at Dead Money. I'm a very busy man. I told you that already, and I'm going to tell you again. There's a lot of women. There's so many fucking women that require my attention so routinely that I just don't always think it's necessary for me to dig into the finer details of every story. So all you need to know is Club WPT Gold came up with some sort of promotion where, and I don't even know how many people stood to possibly capture the promotion, get the fucking promotion. I don't know how many fucking people stood to do that, but at least one, because he did it. Anyway, if you come in first place for this tournament, you not only win the first prize money, you get another $1 million on top of it. So anyone eligible for this promotion in the tournament is not playing for the same prize money as everybody else. I mean, before you even get into why this is so completely fucking bafflingly retarded, it just sounds crazy. So, Jesse Yaganuma, oh, sorry if I said retarded. I know some people don't like that word. I didn't mean it in an offensive way. I meant it in the way that people mean it, which means this is completely fucking ridiculous, okay? It's just a fucking word. Anyway, Jesse Yaganuma made it to Heads Up and was eligible for the promotion, and he began Heads Up at around a 9-1 chip disadvantage, and he won. And it appears more than apparent that he colluded with runner-up James Carroll so that Jesse will win and get the extra $1 million. Now, this is all allegedly, whatever. Nothing is factual. It's only speculation, but What do you think happened after Jesse won? Well, everyone and their mother is presuming that Jesse gave a significant portion of that extra million to James Carroll because he gradually dumped the rest of his chips to Jesse one way or another so that Jesse wins and they unlock the extra $1 million bonus. And when you watch some of the hands that played out, I mean, yeah, it sure looks like that's what they were doing. And I've seen speculations that they were signaling strong and weak hands to one another based on the sizes they use. In other words, I forget which, but I think if Carroll was betting an odd number, I think if he was betting, say, 3 million chips, then that means he's got a weak hand. And if he's betting an even number, say 6 million chips, then that would mean he's strong. Now, the most controversial hand was Jesse was down to 17 million chips. The pot had over 11 million chips. Jesse had 7-5 offsuit on 7-6-6, and James bet into him for $4 million because he had him crushed with 10-6. He had the 6. He had trips. And Jesse folds this hand right now at this stack depth. Now, I know some people will lean on live reads heavily, and especially in a heads-up match, and could make either a call or a fold that no one can ever understand. But you know something? Take a look at both of these guys, okay? Does either player look like they would ever even consider doing that? So the question has become, was this unethical? Should these guys get in trouble or penalized or have money withheld? I mean, just anything. And the answer is no. You can't prove they did anything wrong. And even if you could, you can't blame them for doing it. So I wouldn't even punish them then. Now, I've seen people looking closer at the rules as to what collusion actually is and trying to determine if whether or not what they were doing was actually collusion because the supposed deal they made was only affecting both of them. It's not like there was a third player involved while this went on and, just not knowing what's up. But to all that, what I say is, I mean, whether or not they were colluding really isn't the question. I mean, if what they did was collusion to the letter, I don't care. You'd be crazy at that point to not be colluding. There's a free $1 million out there if player X wins instead of player Y, and you're telling me you're not going to just make sure that player X wins if you're player Y and take a huge extra piece for yourself for your trouble when it doesn't affect anybody else except you and the guy who's agreeing with you? I mean, come on. Some people think that it was pretty obvious what they were doing, and yeah, I mean, how do you come up with the perfect fucking last-minute chip dumping collusion scheme? I mean, you might say they ran bad in the sense that the guy who stands to hit the promotion has a 9-1 chip disadvantage. Like, it wasn't like he had the 9-1 lead and they just do an easy dump and you can't even begin to speculate anything. I mean, he came in the position where it would never be like more glaringly obvious what they're doing if they're doing it. But what better form of colluding could they have come up with to make it less obvious? How the fuck should anybody know the answer to that? But I don't think it being collusion or not is even relevant here. What I want to know is what kind of half-witted, blitheringly idiotic fucking promotion is this in the first place? What the hell did they think was going to happen if someone eligible for the promotion got to heads up? I mean, this is like redefining what it means to be stupid. This promo got through an entire boardroom. A room full of men wearing stupid suits or possibly just flip-flops because nobody gives a fuck anymore, all decided, yeah, let's do it. Let's give another $1 million if someone wins. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, what could possibly go wrong is guaranteed to go wrong, you fucking cunt sack of buffalo shit. If anyone in that boardroom had even one half of one functional brain cell, they would have immediately said, schmucks, we can't do this because it's clearly going to result in collusion and everyone is going to figure it out. You know what this reminds me of? That dating website, eHarmony, when it first came out. I was probably just like a young teenager in the late 90s, and I remember hearing commercials for this shit on the radio. Hi, I'm Dr. Neil Clark Warren. And he's talking all about his brilliant dating website and how many questions there are to ensure that compatible people find each other. And he goes on and on and on and on about how much effort they made and how no other dating website is like this. But you know what he says at the end of the fucking commercial? He says, a lot of happy guys out there right now. I mean, it was possible that I hadn't even jerked off yet to this point. I don't remember how old I was. And I didn't check out the year eHarmony started because, one last time, we're not here to kill ourselves doing research at Dead Money. Not a search engine, people. I'm just a guy who yells about things that are so stupid it's unbelievable. He said, after this whole fucking spiel, a lot of happy guys are out there right now. It's a dating website, and you, the fucking creator, close out your first commercial of it with by saying a lot of happy guys out there right now? This got through an entire boardroom too. I mean, I was like, God, it's like, I thought like, you know, women are given like just a little bit more acknowledgement than this. Nobody said to him, hey, maybe we should sort of find a way to include both genders in that statement, seeing as it's a dating website that's aimed equally at the success of men and women, we think. I mean, holy shit, don't ever let anyone tell you that common sense is common, because that is the last thing it will ever be. But guess what happened a few months later when I heard that commercial for about the 50th time? Dr. Neil Clark Warren says, a lot of happy couples out there now. Thank you! God! I mean, okay, you give him credit for coming up with the website, but how could you be so fucking stupid at the same time? I'm just gonna stop talking about it. That's the only thing I can do. But all right, one more story. Not totally poker related, but Michael Madsen died. He was only 67, cardiac arrest. God, what a shame that is. If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, then you're almost surely a fan of Michael Madsen. Perhaps his finest hour was playing the sadistic Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs. He was heralded as a great character actor, and you know something? That's another term I've been hearing for decades that I never understood. What exactly is a character actor? And why is that not the same thing as an actor? Isn't every actor like playing a character? So how is it that only some of them are character actors? I mean, I know what it means, okay? It means he's playing more of a supporting role of someone quirky, but not in the lead role. So these types of actors get labeled as character actors, but what the fuck? They're all actors. They're all playing characters. Therefore, they are all character actors. Next question. Now, in addition to Madsen's great roles in Tarantino movies, Kill Bill, Hateful Eight, he also played the villain in that one-season show. I think it was 10 episodes. It was on ESPN in the early 2000s when poker was like really booming for the first time. It had been hot for probably at least, probably a good 3 years by then. That show called Tilt, which took place in Las Vegas, and Madsen played the matador Don Everest, who was the most feared and respected player, but also a massive cheat. And he was being hunted down by these three ambitious young poker players being, led by some old guy who had all been scammed by him. Now, the young players, the cast of poker players, protagonists, was this white guy, this black guy, and this blonde white woman. And I watched the entire season, and the only difference between those three characters was one was a white man, one was a black man, and one was a white woman with blonde hair. Other than that, they all pretty much behaved identically. And the show was absolute crap. I couldn't believe Madsen would even take such a role. But the reason I watched the show was because it was so bad that made it so funny, which made it so good. I mean, there are bad movies and shows, and then there are bad movies and shows that are so bad that they just become funny, and now you have to watch it. So if you're going to make a bad movie or whatever, the worst kind of bad show you can make is a bad show that's good enough to only be bad. Because then it has not a single redeeming quality and not a single thing in the world about it worth watching. Now, since we're on this subject, I think I'm just going to give you another example of something that falls into this category. The poker movie Shade. I think it came out in 2003. It has a great cast. I mean, you got Sylvester Stallone and Jamie Foxx and Gabriel Byrne. I mean, this is a solid core of names that are really enjoyable to watch. But oh my God, the story, the script, and especially the poker scenes are so far-fetched and outrageous and have absolutely nothing to do what reality could ever look like that I can't even watch. I just have to look away. It's like what 90% of the crowd does every time I do stand-up. They feel so embarrassed and uncomfortable for me just from watching. And their ass is not even on the line in any conceivable way, but they still can't take it. And that's how I feel watching Shade. And I still don't understand what the hell is so fucking hard about coming up with poker scenes in movies that make actual sense every time. Molly's Game came kind of close, but even that movie had some inexcusable blunders, and it didn't make any sense because at times they really pinpointed some very accurate nuances of what a poker game looks like. And so then it's just like, how did you manage to know to be so precise in this portion of the scene, but be so glaringly clueless and careless in that portion of the scene? I mean, are you guys even trying? Or how hard are you trying? Or would it be so fucking difficult to just hire a technical advisor, also known as a poker player, for like 15 minutes to tell you, okay, this is what you do, and if you don't fuck it up, you will be the first ever poker movie in the history of cinema to actually produce multiple poker scenes that none of which have disgusting mistakes in it that are so glaringly obvious that even Helen Keller could have figured it out. Now, the mistake that stood out to me the most was that really good scene where that character, Harlan Eustace, played by some character actor, I guess, he gets bluffed off a huge pot. He folds a full house to the biggest whale in the game, Bad Brad. And, they show the hand, Harlan bets the river, Brad the whale jams, and Harlan folds, and then is accidentally shown a bluff since Bad Brad accidentally flipped one of his cards as he was mucking. And then when Molly is giving her, narrator commentary about the hand and what happened, she talks about Bad Brad. She says, it looked like he had a hand because of this facial tell, and then he called the flop, check raised the turn, and then bombed the river. And as she says bombs the river, they show him, jamming all his chips in. So, okay. So, when we first see the hand, Harlan was out of position. But then when Molly gives her commentary, now all of a sudden Harlan is in position. Because he was check raised on the turn. When's the last time you got check raised when you were out of position? Now, look, I know it's really tiny, but that's the whole point. How do you fuck that up? It's so fucking easy to notice this and fix so that you can finally put out something aesthetically pleasing to all the poker players, but no, it still went by the boards. So, maybe one day we'll see a poker movie that is actually completely accurate throughout each scene. But when that day comes, I assume it'll probably require me to be the director. You know what? That sounds good to me. Anything that gets me off this fucking couch. All right. We'll see you next time.